Thank you. Hula Binaka, Saka, and a very good afternoon to our esteemed corporate leaders, government ministers, technology partners, and industry colleagues. Ongo sa ikatolo ni Ngongu, ngande, maikina nomoni, banwa, totoka oviti, kasaka me Ngongu, ikarwa ni Vale. It is an immense privilege to stand before you today, marking my third visit to Fiji. Each time I return to this beautiful country, truly feels more and more like my second home. Eve ngao nasara edau vaka mevo na vevakesigi ke naloloma au vakila eke. The warmth of your hospitality and the sheer depth of professional synergy I experience here never cease to inspire me. Over my last two visits, we laid strong foundations. Today, we will build upon that shared momentum. Vinaka Vakelevu Navezi Gomi. Thank you very much for welcoming me back so warmly. I look forward to a highly productive session as we drive our collective vision forward. Ooh. Before going to Fiji this weekend, I challenged myself because I remember last year when I went here, I uttered a few sentences of local Fijian language. Now I challenge myself, maybe this time I have to do 3 paragraphs. So I did. I hope I give justice to that. First and foremost, before I deliver my keynote, I would like to thank personally the Fiber Network Council Asia Pac, big brother and my mentor, Dr. Frank Jaffer, Rosapi, and of course our telco host, again for this year, Telecom Fiji, Charles Mesake. Thank you for the invite again. I must have said good things last year to deserve the invite again here in Fiji. And hopefully, this Fiber conference as a platform, right, continue in the next few years so that we will collaborate as a community and as an ecosystem. So, good afternoon. I want to start, sorry. Hello. I want to start the presentation today. So last year, we laid the foundation on cybersecurity, if you remember, right? So I discussed some best practices. I share with you some framework. But this year, I want to focus more on just telling a story. I know you are all tired because, again, me, before your lunch. But I want to strike a deal with all of you, the participants, if it is okay. If I can get the undivided attention of your time for the next 20 to 30 minutes, undivided, because I need to have an important update, I'll treat you with lunch if you will not be satisfied, if the presentation will not be insightful and engaging. Is that a fair deal? Fair? Can I request for your undivided attention for the next 20 minutes? Okay. Anyway, I heard the council will provide the buffet lunch, so we'll go all together there, okay? So having said that, let's start. 4 words struck with me on the presentation this morning. Number 1 is AI. Number 2 is resilience. Number 3 is, it comes from Brian, convergence. I love that, Brian. And number 4, that completes the picture. I love it. The last presentation talks about cybersecurity. Any other words that struck to you beside that 4 words? I want to ask our lady, the Chief Commercial Officer of Telecom Fiji. What struck you today, Jutika? One word of all the presentations?
I think AI and the progress that it's making, it was amazing to see. that we can take into innovation and what it can do for the Pacific Islands. Yeah.
Sharing that, Shatika. I want to amplify because my co-presenter already amplified that or discussed that with you. Just want to amplify that. I want to start with what the Telecom Fiji CEO mentioned a while ago, AI. In these 2 days, you will hear everything about AI, a lot. But what resonates me with Charles' opening remarks a while ago is he put it back to the infrastructure. So today, I want to discuss the digital crossroads of AI and cybersecurity, which is very important. But we cannot even start talking of AI or any other transformation without talking about the foundation, which is the infrastructure, right? So all of us here, operators, the partner vendors, customers, enterprises, so we are all affected by this one, right? So in this digital crossroad, it is no longer about digital transformation. The issue is no longer about cybersecurity. What we need to envision right now is digital resilience and cyber resilience, okay? Next slide. I will not introduce myself anymore. You could just Google me quickly or scan my QR code. Let's connect. This is my opening frame. This is very important. Every day, starting from now on, will be a 0 day. You know 0 day, right? There will be a lot of new threat vectors, new vulnerabilities that we didn't know before that exist today. I don't want to scare you with my presentation, but I just want to open up your mind and prepare everybody what's about to happen in the next 3, 6 months, or 12 months. Digital disruption. A while ago, the minister discussed about cyber sea, cable cut, right? All of this digital natural disaster, which talks about why the Pacific or why Fiji needs to be resilient. On the other side, there is also cyber disruption. AI, though AI is good. I am pro-AI. But right now, it is industrializing exploit generation. Now, resiliency is no longer a security KPI. Because right now, we're saying we need to be resilient. That's a KPI. But no, it is now a business survival metrics for all of us, for all of Fiji and all of the rest of the Pacific. Next, this is a review from the last year presentation. If you remember, I presented this. Anyone who was here last year? Anyone who's here? Remember this slide? When I presented this slide, I told you that when I saw this chart, that was the day I felt the scariest as a cyber professional, ICT, and telecom professional. This is a 2024 data. Because AI, that time, 2 years ago, is turbocharging and scaling the speed of cyber attack. Double sword again. So we could use AI for efficiency, for a lot of things, different use case on different customer. But again, on the other side of the sword, it is also being used now to attack organization. Now, moving forward, what happened? There is an unprecedented development early this year, about April 2026. A new threat landscape has evolved, which can do the one below, the 4. Autonomous discovery, chained exploit, machine speed attack, and the legacy patching that we are doing now already collapse. I want to present to you the case study of Anthropic Mythos. Anybody who's using Claude? Want to see hands? Claude AI tool. Okay. A lot of you are using Claude AI tool. So what happened or what changed in April 2026 is a new frontier model was released. If you remember, they released Fable 5 recently and then suddenly the next day they block it. So this data is with collaboration with other AI and cybersecurity experts across Asia-Pac and the US. I will not share you the full details, but at least I'll share you the context. The new model that they called it Capybara before is a new tier beyond the existing that time that is Claude Opus. It is that then the most powerful frontier AI that Claude has released. It's only announced April 7th. Now the capability, this is what is really scary. Autonomous vulnerability discovery. And only several partners were made informed of that. And it is intended to be used as a defensive mechanism. So for AI, for cyber defense. So the implication of that is even though the original intent was to be used to help us fortify our cyber defenses or resiliency, if it falls to the hands of our enemy or the adversary, it will be catastrophic as well, right? Now, how it was tested internally gave an unprecedented result in the security history. All the major OS was tested. Name it, Safari, Internet Explorer, Mozilla, right? So all major operating system, Windows, Linux, etc. And this is validated by the industry, professional contractor as well. Now the scale of the finding, thousands of zero-day surface, look at that. Vulnerabilities in major OS, and this is the one that is really, I could say, unprecedented. Some flaws that they discover are even 3 decades ago. Imagine that. That we never see up to now. That's a problem. Over 99% of those discovered vulnerability to date has never been patched. And it is validated 89% by the professional contractors who tested the testing that was done by Anthropic. This is the one that I'm saying a while ago. If you guys remember the early days, this is how you will hack a system. Memory leak. This is a very old tactic, technique, and procedure. But the AI model was able to discover it and use it on those zero-day vulnerability. The capability gap now of Opus that was released, the Claude 4.6 in February, to the one they tested and released, the Mythos Capybara, on April 2026, within 60 days. Imagine that, guys. 60 days gap from 2 vulnerability exploit, it become 181 generated, meaning 90 times increase in terms of how AI discover vulnerability. And if I remember it correctly, I don't know if it is Pacific Fiber Conference or TOPEX in November, that the night before I spoke to the event, I read an article that's saying the first documented autonomous full AI cyber attack happened. It is also with Anthropic. So what happened is somebody hacked to the AI tool of a customer, and then the AI learned, supposed to be to attack the internal, but it go out to the organization and attack different organization. But of course, they will not publicly disclose that one. So this chart shows that 2 months after, the capability is not stalling. It is actually accelerating. Having said that, look at this chart. 1999, we only know 300 CVE. For the information of everybody, CVE stands for Common Vulnerability and Exploits, right? So all major vendors are releasing it on a monthly basis or quarterly. And then organization, we need to patch our OS, we need to patch our browser, etc. In 2025, the numbers had gone up to 48K. But the projection at the end of 2026, because of this new development in AI, it will be more than 100K. Again, a shoot-up of more than 200%, right? And this is the real problem for all of us. The time to exploit has collapsed. So in 2018, that was 8 years ago, it is merely 2.3 years before a certain vulnerability could be exploited. But now, 2026, because of this development, it goes down to 16 hours. 16 hours only of window that you have, right? Next, this is our scenario right now. We are saying that the patching strategy is already cooked. Imagine that. The attackers go to the color blue side, right? Is that laser? The color blue side. From the threat being discovered to the patching, it will take months, right? But right now, the attackers could already do the exploit on the middle. Meaning, before even the CVE is published, for companies to patch it, it has been exploited already. So 16 to 75%. So we are saying right now, and you could double check this one. Before, when I was running the biggest cyber operation of the biggest biggest telco in the Philippines, I have 50 people under the risk management team doing this patching alone. But right now, we are saying patching is already obsolete. Defense must now be inside the attack window. So instead that the patching is here, it should be going to the red one, before the red one, right? How we do that? And this is the sad truth. On the attack surface side, all softwares are impacted. From our devices, PC, printer, IoT, medical, name it. From the applications, SaaS, software, supply chain, to the infrastructure, network that we are talking a while ago, data center, cloud, and even to the workload. Everything is impacted. That's our problem right now. But of course, I don't want to be negative about it. We can use now this platform wherein we know the facts, we know what's happening in the next 6 to 12 months. We have to do something about it, right? So, of course, I will not let you without recommendation. I will not present you this without a recommendation. This is it. Convergence, like what Brian said. So digital resilience and cyber resilience must now converge. We cannot separate the two in any conversation right now. So I'm just, pressing the alarm button for the Fiji community and, the whole of the Pacific. And by the way, thank you very much again, TFL. I had a chance this week from Monday to Wednesday to talk and have a conversation with some of your enterprise and even the government agency, because TFL now is starting a campaign to uplift the level of awareness in terms of cybersecurity in Fiji. And I find it very interesting, very interactive. Different customers has different use case. But at the end of the day, what I learn is, the organization in Fiji know that you need cybersecurity. But how you will execute it is another thing. So you have to collaborate, okay? Now, we need to stitch the story together, like Brian said. From network, I love the updates on the submarine cable, right? Data center, cloud, and cyber. We need to stitch all of this domain together, take a look at it on an end-to-end perspective for us to really achieve the true digital and cyber resilience. So why resilience matters now here, at least in the context of the Pacific? Climate and natural hazard. I heard the minister mention a while ago about cyclone, about volcanic. As a matter of fact, my flight from Suba going to Nandi last Tuesday was canceled because a certain volcano erupted. So we need to drive, but better because I love the view going to Nandi. Regulatory pressure. You have the new Cybercrime Act of 2021. and what the minister said about the cybersecurity strategy of Fiji for the next 5 years. Digital acceleration. And finally, talent and connectivity. So Pacific enterprises must engineer for continuity and security. I think that is very prevalent on the message of the minister a while ago. Now, we need one operating model. So remember the digital continuity and cyber defense? These are the capability that you need. Prevent, detect, control, and respond and recover. So telco, like us, right? Like Telecom Fiji, us in the Philippines, I work in the biggest telco. Telecommunications company delivered this across the entire metric, managed by one provider, governed as a model. So different industry, retail, healthcare, cybersecurity resilience is not the core of your business, right? And investments on this kind of technology is really expensive, mind you guys. But what I'm trying to say here, FNCA, this Pacific Fiber Conference, TFL, use this platform to meet our technology partners, right? There are certain organizations that can help you on this. Outsource different services that you can. Focus on your core business, right? Focus on your business and let them do what they are very expert on. Okay? Now, in terms of architecture, this is what we're saying. We need to embed active defense from people, process, and technology. Again, I want to go back to the reactive mitigation, right? The legacy model that we need to patch. Now, having known what is coming to us in the next 3 to 6 months, we need to require shift on everything. Shift on people, process, and technology. The one on the blue. We have to implement this proactive model of embedded active defense through our infrastructure. Like, for example, in telecommunication operator, as in PLDT, like Telecom Fiji as well, we are a critical infrastructure for a nation. If a successful catastrophic event happened, like a cyber attack, or our submarine cable was cut, it will affect the whole of our country, the whole of PG in case of TFL. So you are assured that telecom operators are doing our due diligence enough to maintain the resiliency and the security of our own infrastructure. Okay? These are recommended 4-layer of active defense stack. From the trusted foundation, I will not discuss this in detail, but I will still be here up tomorrow. If you are interested, we could discuss this. But these are the layer of active stack defense that you could use. Having said that, these are also the verification that should be done. Now, we need to have an active enforcement in our infrastructure, resilient infrastructure. Right now, remember patching, right? We are putting it now on the 3rd layer, meaning we will be doing virtual patching to augment the legacy patching that has been obsolete by doing this: device hardening, vulnerability shield, and exploit-aware shielding. So you think how the market is shifting. Even though there will be challenges coming our way, there are some tweaks that we could do to be able to protect us from those exposures as well, okay? So don't be afraid of that. And even though our perimeter never exists already, this is a funny story again, some of the customers that I met this week, no? So they think that if they have already a firewall in place in their infrastructure, or maybe they call, you still call here antivirus, but we call it endpoint detection and response. You are already 100% secured, but that's false sense of security, okay? Next, this is how you operationalize it. You need to unify your SOC, your NOC, and now, with the use of AI using agentic. A while ago, the two guys, I love the demo, by the way, by NeoPay. very good demo on agentic AI. You see the power of agentic AI. Now, they apply it on a different use case. Now, we will apply it on the resilience use case and cybersecurity. You have to unify. And we no longer call it Network Operations Center. We will no longer call it Security Operations Center. We will call it now Resilience Operations Center. Because the goal of all organizations should be, you should be up and running, functioning, your business operation, even though you are under attack or you are under duress. That's the vision right now when it comes to resilience, okay? Before they said you need to shift left. Actually, this one, shift left. That's the meaning of it. But now, it also changes. The strategy has also changed. We said now, we will automate on the left, the blue ones, but we will hunt on the right. So, everything now, in terms of strategy, in terms of practice, the way we knew cybersecurity before will change as well because of this. And finally, manage digital and cyber resilience. Again, as highlighted, your telecom operators are here, TFL are here, to help you on this part. Active Defense Platform, there are vendors who are here today who are our partner, ecosystem partner, who could help you on this. And finally, resiliency by design, like multi-data center. So, Brian touched about this. Subsea 5G satellite, climate-hardened data center, BGP exercises. I was sharing a few days ago with my counterparts in TFL our experience in the Philippines building the largest data center in Southeast Asia. So we had one, 32 megawatt. We have 12 data centers right now in the Philippines, at least for our telco. The first 11, if you combine all of them, the 12 is still bigger than those 11. But it has direct connectivity to the landing station of our telco, to Brian's point. It has
Proper power, proper cooling, etc. Engineered for the Philippine scenario. And as we speak, we are building our 13, 14, 15, and 16 data center. Even before that data center open, all racks are already put. Meaning, it is pre-sold. Customers are getting already spaces even before we open that data center. But what that does in the sake so hyperscalers. I like the point that Brian gave that Fiji is very strategic location for data centers as well. I feel in Asia. We are strategic there. Finally, again, the resilience roadmap. We want to help customers who are here today to do this. In the next 90 days, now, I'm not pressuring you guys, but you should do this. You need to prioritize how you do your resilience strategy in your organization. I will not discuss, but again, if you need help, your Delicom PG will be here to support you. Just reach out to their account managers, sales who are here, or maybe I'm still here. I could also share to you how to do it. And finally, for closing thought, again, every day will be a zero day. Enterprises, telecom organization across Fiji and the Pacific should plan, build, and operate accordingly. I have three closing thoughts for you. Number one, converge. Number two, embed. And number three, partner. And I will forget, Frank, a while ago when, what's the name of the board again? Andrew. When Andrew is presenting a while ago the Fricles, because he stayed my made me a good goosebumps Andrew. When you present the 2.4 billion homes pass, right? Remember that? Maybe 12 years ago, I was part of the board of FTTH. We call it the application before. I remember Frank and I are traveling across the world, across Asia Pacific, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, New Zealand, and even Dallas. Our data, because I was the one presenting there, our data is less than 500 million. Speaking about truck 2012, 2030. Well, and we are projecting 500 million that time to happen at this point. But there are a lot of truckers. They're saying now, fiber to the boom and that. That's why when I do it, he said, wow, 2.4 billion. I bet such an accomplishment and proud to have a part of the Fiber Council. And message to everyone is that let's maximize this platform that we are all here together to collaborate. Actually, the council helped me a lot as well when I was a starting CPO to a starting fiber company there. Because it opens a lot of connection with me, with Crop and the colleagues. So, next 2 things, let's collaborate, let's discuss, let's have an open conversation. With that, thank you very much and have a rest of the session all the way. Thank you.